Selain dirimu kasih, tiada yang lain lagi.
To get to Borneo, I decided to go on a small vintage motorcycle. The journey begins in Surabaya, which is a big city in Java. If you are coming from Bali, you can cross the ferry between Bali and Java and then continue up north towards Surabaya. The day I arrived in Surabaya, I went straight to the port, which was not very difficult to find. It's two of the biggest roads. And I went straight to the gate, found the ticket offices, which is not too far from the gate to the port. By the procedure, you can do it online or you can go to the counter. You just pull a number, sit and wait, go to the counter and fill in a couple of forms. Got my ticket. You have to buy a ticket for the ferry and you have to buy a ticket for the motorcycle as well. I had to come back to the port at 7 p.m. and so I had 5 or 6 hours, which meant I could go and explore the city. One of the fascinating things is the motorcycle parking dedicated solely for the scooters. I did not expect this. I seriously thought it was a big jungle, so I was pleasantly surprised when I saw these big streets and modern cars and flashy clothes and any brand you can think of. So here's Bessie, my little favorite.
Okay, this is the way on. Ferry. Loaded with trucks.
This is the road, the double lane going down to the port. It was nothing like this when I arrived earlier in the day. Come nighttime, all the trucks have arrived from pretty much everywhere in Java. One of the wonderful things about Indonesia is scooters can go anywhere. You can do whatever you want. It's just part of the way of living.
Nope. Wow. There's a massive three lane, three going that way, three coming out, and it ends at the port. Okay. Yep.
Looking at some of the cargo that was coming into some of these ferries. Surabaya is such a busy port. The ships that come through here, they don't just go to Borneo, they go to all the different Indonesian islands. They go to so many different places. A lot of them go to Jakarta from here also.
Hello, how are you? Ah, it's my friend. Yeah, makasih. Hello.
There's a little bit of a tight space coming through here. People don't give way, they just assume that you're going to miss them.
Hello. Hello.
And they point us to the motorcycles being on the right. There's trucks and there's cars and there's different lanes for everything. So we were all lined up. And while we were waiting, a port official came around and finally added some barcodes to each individual motorcycle. So you get this on your bike, leave it on there. Once you're on the bike, as soon as the ferry opens, you can get off. The yellow barcode on my wrist dedicated which shipping class I was in. It's finally our time to go. They give us the go ahead and we just follow the first guy and assuming that he knows where to go. You can see it's kind of a normal activity for people to go on the ferry to cross over. It's people with their groceries. And yeah, you find your spot, you park up. You don't tie it down like any other place that I've been on a ferry. You just park it, put your stand out and go to reception. I had to check in at reception. They checked all my tickets, found my key, found my room, and then they told this guy which is kind of like a porter but not, and he had to guide me to my room, but he could not find the room. Here's some of the bunks that people can stay in. So I followed this guy, and we walked down pretty much every hallway looking for the cabin number, and he had no idea where he was going. We looked at every number and then went down and came back. I said, look at the chart, and he was not interested in looking at the chart because he knew where he was going. And then we walked past the chart again. We walked past the chart a couple of times. It was quite entertaining. Then he asked someone, and finally they directed him into a little secure little area. After the room is clean, they put this little sticker on it. They don't ever seem to take off the old sticker. They just keep putting stickers over it, so it's very difficult to get in. Found my room, came into my room, and it's a nice private room. I could charge my phone in there. It's one bed, I can turn the light off, and yeah. It's a lovely outdoor deck. There's a cafe on top. It's a very big boat with all the different levels and different rooms. There's a lift. There's a little shop where you can buy some goodies. There's a little library. When they open, you can sit and read some books. Here's a song that you become very familiar with. Just before the boat departs, this song starts playing, and it plays over and over and over. When you arrive at the other port, they play this song once again. This is an old Japanese ferry, so everything is still in Japanese. Everything says yen on the lockers. There's a karaoke room, there's a barber, there's phone chargers, there's a smoking room. There's a prayer room as well, because it's a very religious culture. There's a little museum of the actual ferry company. You can see people just plonking their stuff everywhere on the floor. So wherever you can find a space and a little mat, that's where you're going to stay for the next 12 hours. Whether it's in a museum or in a hallway, that's your space if you didn't get a cabin. So you really don't need a cabin, you just got to be on the ferry first. As you can see, people here just camping out. That's it. Food was included. We get option of 2 meals. I wandered through the cafeteria. These are for the rooms. I didn't realize that they actually bring my meal to my room. When I got back to my room, it was hanging outside my door, but I ended up getting one. Rice was a solid little sucker, and the cooked fish was interesting as well. So I thought I was getting a luxury room, and then I realized there's VIP 2 and then VIP 1, which is even more luxurious than where I am. I wasn't even VIP 2. VIP 2 had a view of the front of the ship. It's a decent ship, it's very tidy, it's very clean, it looks safe, it feels safe. So I tried to have a nap, tried to have a little sleep, and got woken by this loud music, which I had no idea where it was coming from. I thought it was similar to the music that was playing when we left the port. And so I had to go find out. So I was tracking it down. And then when I got to the dining area, or the entertainment area, it turns out there is Onboard entertainment. So I ended up talking to these girls at a later stage, and there's 2 of them, and they are the ship entertainment, and they are there to encourage the passengers to have a good time. So they do karaoke, so random men jump up and singing. It was quite wonderful just to see people let go and just love karaoke. I think it's one of the things I love about Asia is karaoke, where people just sing and they don't care what they sound like. These girls were very entertaining, and the guys enjoyed watching them. This guy was a hoot. Amazing voice. There was our sister ship. There were 2 sailings from Surabaya to Banjarmasin. The first sighting of Banjarmasin. I was excited. I didn't know what to expect. Didn't know what it was going to look like. I was very surprised at the amount of ships hanging outside the entrance to Banjarmasin. All these ships are coal ships and coal barges. So a lot of coal gets mined in Borneo and shipped out because it's too shallow for the big ships to get into the river. These barges get filled with coal. They get tugged all the way out, and then they crane them onto the big ships out in this big harbour. These are some of the fishing boats that cruise up and down. This is a passenger boat, a cheaper passenger boat just cruising from one of the ports. A lot of the fishing boats catch a ride back with the tugs and the barges. They just hook onto the back of them. A lot of the guys climb onto the barges and pick up some of the bits of coal that have been missed, bag them up, chuck them over onto the boats, and they're going to get sold somewhere else. So everyone makes a living out of the coal flowing through. The coal barges were just endless. There were just hundreds of them, literally hundreds of them, flowing in and out. It was a beautiful sight. It was a very brown river, but the grass was very green. You can see all the little rivers and alleyways and essentially a floating city and lots of bridges for people to cross over. There was a lot more infrastructure than I could have imagined. When we finally arrived in the outskirts of Banjarmasin, I could see the port in the distance. Again, very surprised at the contrast of the floating cities. There were so many rusty, half-built boats along this river, especially tugboats. So many tugboats that were started but never completed. And here's our wonderful song again. So if you go on this ferry, you're definitely going to become familiar with the song. It plays very loud and it plays everywhere. We were so excited to leave, got to our bikes, loaded up, got ready, watched us get tugged and piloted into the port. A whole bunch of crew was waiting for us. There were this row of cleaners waiting, and as soon as it opened, they all raced in. And they were very, very fast. So I think they were working on commission of some sort, but I'm not sure how that works out. So we were ready to head down. We were on the second floor up.
I'm in Kalimantan, Borneo. I'm way too tall for this.
I stumbled into some back alley markets, went to places that generally a lot of the locals probably wouldn't even go to. Found a red onion factory, so to speak. Met a guy at one of the markets who had a friend who was running tours on the floating market, and I did a tour with her.
Hello, mister. Where are you from? You?
New Zealand, Selandia Baru.
I really enjoyed the floating market. It was a wonderful experience. So for more of that, please pop back and look at my next video.